My child, don't scroll away, stay right here, because I know the moment your heart realized the silence was no longer temporary, when their replies slowed, their warmth faded, and your spirit felt that quiet shift before your mind was ready to accept it. You told yourself they were busy, overwhelmed, needing space, healing, figuring things out, because hope is clever when it wants to survive. But then the truth arrived without warning, not gently, not gradually, but like a sudden weight in your chest. They didn't just go quiet, they chose someone else. And I know how that sentence echoes inside you, how it keeps replaying at night, how it makes you question everything you shared, everything you felt, everything you believed. Listen to me now, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this clarity right now. What hurts you most is not that they chose someone else, it's that they chose silence with you. It's that they didn't explain, didn't close the door with honesty, didn't respect the bond enough to speak truth. They let you sit in confusion while they moved forward elsewhere, and that kind of quiet can feel more cruel than rejection. But hear me carefully, because the truth you need is not the one that blames you, it's the one that frees you. They did not go quiet because you weren't enough. They went quiet because they were not brave enough to face you with truth. And someone who avoids honesty will always choose the easier path, even if that path costs someone else their peace. You keep asking yourself what the other person has that you didn't, what they did right that you did wrong, why they were chosen while you were left with questions. My child, that comparison is a trap. They didn't choose the better person, they chose the simpler situation. They chose what required less accountability, less emotional depth, less self-reflection. You were not rejected, you were bypassed, and those two things are not the same. Rejection speaks to worth. Bypass speaks to avoidance. And avoidance has nothing to do with your value. You loved with presence. You showed up with intention. You asked for clarity instead of playing games. That scared them, because real connection demands responsibility. Silence is the refuge of people who do not want to take responsibility for the impact of their choices. I know you replay the last conversations, wondering if you asked for too much, if you spoke too honestly, if you should have been calmer, quieter, less expressive. But love that requires you to shrink is not love meant to grow. The truth is, you didn't lose them when they chose someone else. You lost them when they stopped choosing honesty with you. And that loss began long before their silence became obvious. Your spirit felt it. That's why you were anxious. That's why you kept checking your phone. That's why reassurance never lasted. You were trying to feel secure in a space where security no longer existed. And I allowed this truth to surface now because you were about to internalize a lie that would have damaged you deeply, the lie that says you must compete to be chosen. My child, love that is real does not ask you to compete. It recognizes you without comparison. The person meant for you will not go quiet and leave you guessing. They will not replace you without conversation. They will not disappear instead of explaining. Silence is not maturity. Silence is emotional avoidance dressed as calm. And choosing someone else without closure is not clarity, it is cowardice. I know that word may feel strong, but I need you to understand this so you stop blaming yourself. Courage speaks. Courage takes responsibility. Courage does not leave someone emotionally stranded. You keep thinking the other person won, but there is no victory in being chosen by someone who avoids depth. What looks like a choice in their favor is actually a reflection of what that person was willing to settle for. You were asking for presence, consistency, and truth. They chose something that didn't require them to rise to that level. That is not your loss. It just feels like it because your heart invested honestly. And honest hearts always feel pain more deeply, but they also heal more fully. Don't scroll, stay with me, because I need you to hear this part clearly. The silence was not an answer about your worth, it was an answer about their capacity. Capacity for communication. Capacity for commitment. Capacity for emotional courage. You didn't imagine the connection. You didn't misread everything. You felt what was real at the level you were capable of feeling. They felt something too, but not enough to sustain responsibility. That mismatch is painful, but it is not shameful. What would have been damaging is if you had stayed, shrinking your needs, accepting crumbs, waiting in silence while they built a future that didn't include you fully. I removed you before that happened. I know it doesn't feel like protection right now. It feels like abandonment. But protection often feels like loss before it feels like relief. There will come a day when you look back and realize that if they had stayed, you would have kept negotiating for basics, kept translating silence, kept settling for half presence while offering a whole heart. And that would have broken you far more than this truth ever will. The quiet you're sitting in now is painful, but it's honest. It's not confusing anymore. It's not mixed signals. It's not false hope. It's a clean break from uncertainty, even if it came without the conversation you deserved. And I know you wanted that conversation. You wanted closure, an explanation, something that made sense of the bond you felt. But sometimes closure doesn't come from them, it comes from clarity. And clarity is what I am giving you now. They went quiet and chose someone else because they were never meant to walk with you into depth. They were a lesson, not a destination. A chapter, not the story. And chapters that end abruptly are not mistakes, they are redirections. You are not behind. You are not unwanted. You are not forgotten. You are being moved away from someone who could not meet you where you stand. Let the grief come, but do not let it rewrite your worth. Let the tears fall, but do not let them convince you that silence means you were replaceable. You were not replaced. You were released. Released from confusion. Released from waiting. Released from a love that could not choose you with courage. Stay with me in this, because what comes next will not arrive quietly or uncertain. It will arrive with clarity, consistency, and peace. And when that happens, you will understand why this silence was necessary, even if it hurt. My child, stay with me and don't turn away now, because what comes after the silence is where the real healing begins, and this is the part most people try to rush through without understanding. When someone goes quiet and chooses someone else, the pain doesn't end with that knowledge, it changes shape. At first it is shock, then disbelief, then a deep ache that sits in your chest and asks questions with no place to land. You may feel waves of anger, sadness, relief, and longing all tangled together, and you might judge yourself for still missing someone who clearly didn't choose you. Listen to me carefully, because this message is for you and your heart needs it right now. Missing them does not mean you were wrong about yourself, it means you formed an attachment to a future that felt possible. You were attached to the consistency you hoped for, the conversations you imagined finishing, the version of them you believed would eventually step forward. Letting go of that imagined future hurts more than letting go of the person. And that is why this pain feels so confusing. You are not grieving just them, you are grieving what you thought was being built. And grief is not weakness, it is love learning where it cannot stay. You may find yourself replaying the moments when they pulled back, wondering if you should have spoken differently, loved less, waited longer, or asked fewer questions. But hear me now, because I need you to stop rewriting the past to punish yourself. You did not push them away by asking for clarity. You did not lose them by wanting honesty. You did not make a mistake by loving openly. The right person is not scared by your need for communication, they are guided by it. Someone who goes quiet when truth is required is revealing a pattern, not reacting to a flaw in you. Silence is not a response to your worth, it is a reflection of their emotional capacity. And capacity matters more than chemistry ever will. You felt chemistry, but chemistry without character leads to confusion. You felt connection, but connection without commitment creates anxiety. You felt hope, but hope without action becomes a weight you carry alone. That is why your body felt tired even before your mind understood why. Your nervous system knew something your heart was still defending. And now that the silence has confirmed what you feared, your system is releasing what it's been holding for too long. That release can feel like emptiness, like something has been ripped away. But what is actually happening is space is being made. Space where you will no longer wait for texts that don't come. Space where you will no longer analyze tone, timing, or effort. Space where you will no longer shrink your needs to keep someone close. That space feels uncomfortable because you filled it for so long with hope. But hope that hurts is not hope meant to stay. I know you may feel replaceable right now, as if they moved on easily while you are left piecing yourself back together. But what looks like moving on is often avoidance. Some people choose someone else not because they are healed, but because they want to escape accountability. They choose what feels easier, not what is deeper. And ease built on avoidance does not last. You, on the other hand, are doing the harder work. You are sitting with truth. You are feeling what needs to be felt. You are letting the lesson integrate instead of running from it. And that work will protect you in ways you cannot yet see. You are learning to trust patterns over promises, actions over words, presence over potential. You are learning that someone who truly wants you will not let silence do the talking. They will show up even when it's uncomfortable. They will choose clarity over convenience. They will not leave you guessing where you stand. And until that person arrives, you are being asked to stand firmly with yourself. There may be moments when loneliness whispers that being chosen by someone else would hurt less than being alone. Do not believe that lie. Being alone is temporary. Being half-chosen is corrosive. One drains time, the other drains identity. You are not meant to lose yourself just to avoid being alone. This season is teaching you how to be whole without needing to be validated by someone who could not meet you. And wholeness is attractive. Wholeness is powerful. Wholeness changes the kind of love that finds you next. You may still feel the urge to check on them, to see if they are happy, to compare your healing to their appearance of moving on. Resist that urge, not because you are weak, but because you are healing. Comparison reopens wounds that clarity is trying to close. Their path is no longer your responsibility. Your only responsibility now is to protect your peace and honor what this experience taught you. It taught you that love should not feel like waiting in silence. It taught you that effort should not be one-sided. It taught you that being chosen late or halfway is not the same as being chosen fully. These lessons are expensive, but they are valuable. And because you paid attention, you will not repeat this cycle. The next time someone pulls away, you will not chase. You will notice. The next time someone avoids clarity, you will not excuse. You will decide. The next time someone chooses someone else, you will not internalize it as failure. You will recognize it as misalignment. That is growth. That is healing. And I know it doesn't feel like victory yet. It feels like quiet. It feels like rebuilding. It feels like learning how to trust yourself again. But trust is returning to you, slowly and steadily. One day you will wake up and realize you are no longer waiting for them to come back, no longer hoping for an apology, no longer needing an explanation. You will realize that the silence that once hurt you no longer controls you. And in that moment, you will understand that they didn't take anything from you that you cannot reclaim. You are still capable of love. Still capable of depth. Still capable of choosing wisely. And when the love meant for you arrives, it will not arrive through silence or replacement. It will arrive through consistency, courage, and peace. Stay with me through this season. Do not rush the healing. Do not numb the pain. Let it teach you. Let it shape you. Let it lead you home to yourself. Because what comes next will not require you to guess, wait, or compete. It will meet you clearly, and when it does, this chapter will finally make sense. My child, stay with me and don't close your heart yet, because now we must talk about what happens when the noise finally fades and you are left alone with the truth, not the version that hurts the most, but the one that heals the deepest. After someone went quiet and chose someone else, there comes a stage where anger softens, sadness slows down, and a strange clarity begins to rise. You may notice you are no longer crying every day, but you are thinking more clearly. You are no longer replaying every message, but you are questioning patterns. You are no longer asking, "Why didn't they choose me?" but "Why did I tolerate being half chosen for so long?" That shift is not accidental. That is your soul stepping back into authority. At first, this stage can feel unsettling, because the pain that once kept you emotionally occupied is loosening its grip. And when pain leaves, it creates silence. But this silence is different from the one they gave you. This silence is honest. It doesn't confuse you. It doesn't keep you waiting. It gives you space to breathe. You may suddenly realize how much of your emotional energy was spent monitoring their behavior, interpreting their moods, hoping for effort, adjusting yourself so the connection wouldn't break. You were constantly on, even when you were exhausted. That is not love, my child, that is emotional labor done alone. And now that labor has stopped, your body feels it. Your mind feels it. Your spirit feels lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because the tension is gone. Heavier because you are grieving the version of yourself that tried so hard to be enough for someone who could not meet you. Let that grief exist. Do not rush to replace it with positivity or distraction. This grief is sacred. It is teaching you self-respect. You are beginning to see that silence was not the worst part. The worst part was how long you stayed silent about your own needs. You ignored your intuition. You justified inconsistency. You convinced yourself that waiting was loyalty and patience was love. But now you see the truth clearly: love that grows does not require you to disappear. Love that is mutual does not punish you with confusion. Love that is real does not go quiet and reappear in someone else's arms. And realizing this may make you feel angry, not just at them, but at yourself. If that anger comes, don't suppress it. Anger, when honest, is not destructive. It is protective. It is your heart saying, "I deserved better." And you did. That anger will not turn you bitter if you let it pass through instead of building a home inside you. What comes next is one of the most important realizations of your healing: they did not take your chance at love. They only revealed that they were not capable of the kind of love you were ready to give. Their choice does not define your future, it frees it. You may still feel tempted to compare yourself to the person they chose. You may imagine them happier, more compatible, more desired. My child, stop that comparison now, because it is built on illusion. You are comparing your inner reality to someone else's surface story. You do not know the depth of their connection, the truth of their communication, or the durability of what they chose. And even if what they chose lasts, it does not mean it was meant for you. Not everything that lasts is aligned, and not everything that ends is a failure. You were removed from a situation that would have required you to keep shrinking. That removal feels like rejection at first, but it is actually protection. You were protected from years of emotional uncertainty, from always wondering if you were chosen today, from negotiating for clarity instead of receiving it freely. And I know right now it feels unfair that you are the one healing while they appear to move on easily. But easy does not mean healthy. Fast does not mean healed. Silence does not mean peace. Many people avoid pain by jumping into the next thing. You are not avoiding. You are integrating. That is why your healing feels slower and deeper. And deeper healing lasts. You are learning to sit with yourself without distraction. To feel emotions without drowning in them. To trust that you do not need someone's presence to validate your existence. That is strength being built quietly. Soon, you will notice changes that feel subtle but powerful. You will stop checking your phone with hope attached. You will stop imagining future conversations that will never happen. You will stop needing them to understand what they lost. You will understand it yourself, and that will be enough. The silence that once hurt you will become neutral. It will no longer feel personal. It will feel like distance you have already crossed. And when you reach that place, you will realize something important: you are no longer available for love that feels uncertain. You are no longer drawn to people who keep you guessing. You are no longer impressed by attention that lacks intention. This does not make you closed off. It makes you selective. And selectivity is wisdom earned, not arrogance. The next person who enters your life will feel different, not because they are perfect, but because they will be present. They will not disappear when things get real. They will not choose silence over honesty. They will not make you compete with uncertainty. They will choose you openly, consistently, and without games. And when that happens, you will finally understand why this chapter had to end the way it did. Until then, remain gentle with yourself. Healing does not require you to be strong every day. Some days, being honest is enough. Some days, resting is enough. Some days, choosing not to look back is the bravest thing you can do. Stay with me through this season, because you are not losing love, you are learning how to receive it correctly. And that lesson will change everything that comes next. My child, stay with me and don't rush past this moment, because now we are entering the stage where acceptance begins to replace pain, even if the heart is still tender. This is the part where you stop fighting reality and start standing inside it. Not because it feels good yet, but because it finally feels honest. You may notice that the sharp ache has softened into something quieter, something more reflective. You're not crying as much, but you're thinking more deeply. You're not longing for them the same way, but you're still processing what it meant to be left in silence while they chose someone else. And this is where the most important shift happens. You are no longer asking, "Why wasn't I chosen?" You are beginning to ask, "Why did I stay where I wasn't fully valued?" That question is powerful. It moves you out of victimhood and into awareness. Awareness does not come with instant peace, but it comes with strength. You are starting to see that what hurt the most was not losing them, it was losing yourself while waiting for them to decide. You paused your emotional life. You measured your words. You second-guessed your needs. You learned how to read silence instead of receiving clarity. And now that this chapter has ended, your soul is reclaiming all that energy. That reclamation can feel strange at first. You may feel restless, unsure what to do with the space that once belonged to them. That space is not emptiness, it is possibility. But possibility feels uncomfortable when you've been living in survival mode. Survival taught you to hold on. Healing is teaching you how to let go. You may notice moments where anger rises unexpectedly. Not explosive anger, but a quiet realization that says, "I didn't deserve that." Let that anger exist without judgment. It is not there to turn you bitter. It is there to restore your boundaries. It is your heart learning how to protect itself without building walls. You are also beginning to understand something very important now. Someone choosing someone else does not automatically mean you were lacking. Often, it means they chose what required less growth from them. They chose familiarity, convenience, or emotional safety as they define it. And sometimes emotional safety, to an unhealed person, means avoiding depth. You brought depth. You brought honesty. You brought the expectation of communication. That was never going to feel comfortable to someone who avoids accountability. So they went quiet. Not because you were too much, but because you were asking for something real. And real love demands courage. You are starting to see that silence was the answer you kept asking for without wanting to hear it. It told you everything words refused to say. It told you they would rather disappear than face discomfort. It told you they would rather choose someone else than choose growth. It told you they were not able to meet you where you stood. And as painful as that truth is, it is also liberating. Because now you are no longer confused. Confusion drains the soul more than endings ever do. Endings hurt, but confusion erodes. And confusion is gone now. You may still feel lonely at times. That is natural. Loneliness does not mean you made the wrong choice by letting go. It means you are adjusting to a life where your emotional energy is no longer wrapped around someone else's availability. Loneliness is a transition, not a destination. It passes as you rebuild connection with yourself, your routines, your joy, your purpose. You are learning how to sit with yourself without checking for messages that won't come. You are learning how to wake up without that familiar hope-disappointment cycle. And slowly, very slowly, peace is starting to replace obsession. You are no longer wondering what they're doing every moment. You are beginning to focus on what you need. That is not selfish. That is recovery. There may still be moments when you imagine them happy with someone else, and your chest tightens. In those moments, remember this truth: their happiness does not diminish your worth, and their choice does not rewrite your value. You are not in competition with anyone. You never were. Love is not a contest where someone wins and someone loses. Love is alignment. And alignment cannot be forced, chased, or competed for. You are also beginning to see that if they had chosen you, but remained the same person, you would have continued to suffer quietly. You would have kept negotiating for clarity. You would have kept hoping they'd show up more fully. You would have kept silencing parts of yourself to keep them comfortable. That is not the life you were meant for. I removed you before that future could take root. I know it feels like loss, but it was protection. Protection often feels harsh at first because it interrupts attachment. But attachment is not destiny. Destiny brings peace, not anxiety. And now, with each passing day, you are becoming less attached to what was and more aligned with what could be. You are starting to trust that you will not miss what is meant for you. What is meant for you will not require silence to communicate. It will not choose someone else without explanation. It will not leave you questioning your worth. It will choose you clearly, openly, and without games. Until that love arrives, you are learning how to be whole without waiting. You are learning how to choose yourself without guilt. You are learning how to walk forward even when closure did not come in the form you wanted. And that learning is shaping you into someone who will never again beg for clarity or settle for half-presence. This chapter is closing not with revenge, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. Wisdom that will guide every relationship from this point forward. Stay with me in this stage. Let the acceptance deepen. Let the grief finish its work. Let your heart keep opening to truth instead of pain. Because you are not being left behind. You are being led forward, one honest step at a time. My child, stay with me and keep listening, because now we arrive at the place where acceptance quietly turns into strength, and strength begins to reshape how you see love, yourself, and the future. This is the stage where you no longer feel the urge to explain the story to everyone, no longer feel the need to justify your pain, no longer feel consumed by what they are doing or who they chose. Something inside you has shifted. The silence that once felt unbearable now feels distant, almost neutral, like a chapter you've already walked through and don't need to reread to understand. You may notice that your days are no longer structured around missing them. Your thoughts don't automatically drift toward their name. Your heart still remembers, but it doesn't ache in the same desperate way. That is not forgetting. That is integration. You are integrating the lesson without carrying the wound. And that is powerful. You are beginning to see clearly that their decision to go quiet and choose someone else was never about you being lacking, it was about them choosing what aligned with their level of emotional courage. Some people choose depth. Others choose comfort. Some choose growth. Others choose familiarity. And you were asking for growth from someone who was still choosing comfort. That mismatch would have continued to hurt you, even if they had stayed. You are now able to admit that to yourself without trying to soften it or make excuses. And that honesty is setting you free. You may feel a quiet pride rising inside you, not arrogance, but self-respect. You survived something that once felt like it would destroy you. You faced silence without chasing. You faced replacement without losing your identity. You faced rejection without becoming bitter. That takes strength, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. And because you handled this with awareness instead of denial, you are no longer the same person who entered that connection. You are more discerning now. You notice red flags sooner. You listen to discomfort instead of overriding it. You value consistency over charm. You value presence over potential. You value peace over intensity. These values are not walls, they are filters. They will not block love, they will guide it. You may also notice that you are no longer romanticizing the idea of them coming back. The fantasy of an apology, an explanation, or a sudden realization has lost its grip. Not because you didn't care, but because you now understand that someone who avoids honesty once is likely to avoid it again. And you no longer want love that requires you to wait for basic respect. You are beginning to trust that if someone truly wants you, they will not risk losing you through silence. They will speak. They will show up. They will choose clarity even when it's uncomfortable. And because you know this now, you will never again beg for communication or accept being emotionally sidelined. There may still be moments when a memory surfaces unexpectedly, a place, a song, a familiar phrase. When that happens, your heart may tighten briefly, but it will loosen again just as quickly. That is how you know you are healing. The memory no longer owns you. It passes through instead of pulling you back. And each time that happens, your confidence grows. You are learning that you can feel something without acting on it. That you can miss without returning. That you can remember without reopening the wound. This emotional maturity will serve you deeply in the future. You are also learning that being chosen by the wrong person is not a blessing, it is a delay. And being released from the wrong person, even through pain, is alignment. Alignment does not always feel good at first, but it always feels right eventually. You may now feel a growing excitement, not about a specific person, but about yourself, your life, and what is possible when you are no longer emotionally entangled in uncertainty. You are reclaiming your time, your energy, your focus. You are making plans without wondering if someone else will disrupt them. You are laughing without checking your phone. You are breathing more freely. These are signs that your nervous system is settling back into safety. And safety is the foundation of healthy love. I want you to hear this clearly now, because this truth will anchor you. The love meant for you will not arrive through silence, comparison, or replacement. It will arrive through consistency, clarity, and choice. You will not have to decode it. You will not have to compete for it. You will not have to doubt yourself inside it. It will meet you where you stand, not where you bend. And because you walked through this loss consciously, you will recognize that love immediately when it comes. You will not mistake anxiety for chemistry. You will not mistake absence for mystery. You will not mistake effort for inconvenience. You are ready now, not because you are healed perfectly, but because you are healed honestly. This chapter is no longer defining you, it is refining you. It has sharpened your discernment, strengthened your boundaries, and restored your self-respect. And that is why this story does not end in bitterness or regret. It ends in clarity. Clarity that says, I deserve to be chosen openly. I deserve to be communicated with. I deserve a love that does not go quiet. Stay with me as you step forward from here, because what comes next will not repeat this pattern. You have outgrown it. And what you outgrow can never truly hold you again. My child, stay with me just a little longer, because this is the closing where understanding settles into wisdom and wisdom becomes the way you live, not just something you learned. This is the part where you realize you are no longer waiting for anything to change in them, because something permanent has already changed in you. You may wake up one day and notice that the heaviness is gone. Not dramatically, not all at once, but quietly, like a weight you didn't realize you were carrying has been set down. Their silence no longer echoes in your chest. Their choice no longer feels like a verdict on your worth. The story has lost its power to define your days. And that is how you know you have crossed the final threshold. You are no longer asking the universe to bring them back, to make them explain, to help you understand why you weren't chosen. You understand now. You understand that love that goes quiet is not love meant to stay. You understand that someone who chooses someone else without honesty was never choosing from clarity, but from avoidance. And most importantly, you understand that you were never meant to compete for a place that should have been offered freely. This understanding does not harden your heart. It steadies it. You are no longer reactive. You are no longer triggered by the thought of them. You can wish them well without wishing yourself back into their life. That is not indifference. That is completion. Completion does not mean nothing happened. It means what happened has finished teaching you. You are standing now with a deeper sense of self-respect than you've ever had before. You know what it costs to abandon yourself, and you know you will never pay that price again. You will never again interpret silence as depth. You will never again excuse inconsistency as confusion. You will never again accept half-answers where honesty is required. These are not rules you are forcing yourself to follow. They are instincts now. Your body knows what safety feels like. Your spirit knows what alignment feels like. And your heart will no longer open fully to anything that feels uncertain at the core. You may notice that you are calmer in general. Less anxious in relationships. Less afraid of being alone. Less willing to overextend yourself just to keep someone close. This calm is not emptiness. It is groundedness. It is the result of choosing yourself repeatedly, even when it was uncomfortable. You didn't numb the pain. You didn't run from it. You didn't replace it too quickly. You let it shape you instead of scar you. And because of that, you are now standing in a different frequency. People who thrive on ambiguity will feel distant to you. Connections built on games will lose their appeal. You will crave honesty the way you once craved reassurance. You will crave consistency the way you once craved attention. And that shift will naturally lead you toward healthier love. The next person who comes into your life will not have to be chased. They will not disappear when emotions deepen. They will not make you guess where you stand. They will choose you openly, not because you demanded it, but because they are capable of it. And when that happens, you will feel the difference immediately. Your body will relax. Your mind will quiet. Your heart will not brace for loss. That is how you will know it is right. Until that moment arrives, you are no longer in lack. You are whole. You are living your life without waiting for someone else's availability to validate it. You are investing in yourself, your growth, your peace, your purpose. You are present in your own life again. And that is the greatest return of all. There may still be rare moments when the past crosses your mind, but it will no longer pull you backward. It will simply remind you how far you've come. You will remember the version of yourself who stayed hopeful through silence, who believed patience could fix avoidance, who waited to be chosen. And instead of shame, you will feel compassion. You will thank that version of yourself for loving deeply, then gently release them. Because you are no longer that person. You are someone who knows their worth without needing it confirmed. Someone who understands that love does not require suffering to be meaningful. Someone who trusts that what is meant for them will meet them with clarity, not confusion. This is the end of the cycle. Not because the pain vanished overnight, but because the lesson is complete. You no longer ask, why did they choose someone else? You now know the better question was always, why did I stay when they stopped choosing me? And you have answered that question with action, growth, and self-respect. From this place forward, your life opens differently. Your relationships deepen differently. Your boundaries hold without effort. You will not miss what is meant for you, because what is meant for you will not go quiet. It will not replace you. It will not leave you guessing. It will meet you in truth, stay present in discomfort, and choose you without hesitation. Walk forward now with this knowing. You are not abandoned. You are aligned. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. And you are no longer defined by who went quiet or who chose someone else. You are defined by the strength it took to walk through that silence and come out whole on the other side.